Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Adventures in Careerland. This is our final podcast of season 3. It makes me very sad because around the table I have my crackerjack team, my wizards, my magicians, the student producers who work with me in the broadcast media program in the Louis Riel Arts and Technology Center. And they've been working with me for the past 2 seasons because they've been in the program for 2 semesters, and we treat each semester as a season. So we're at the last time because the program's ending. The program's ending. I'm very, very sad. I'm going to lose these 2. Of course, I'm talking about Zoe Kruzak. Zoe, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, I guess.
Are you feeling sad, Zoe?
Yes.
I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
We've come a long way. Oh, my gosh. I remember when Zoe didn't say anything. She sat there, really smart, really organized, didn't say much, and now she's a little chatterbox. I really like that. And she's interning as part of this program. She's been interning with whom? Tell us about that a bit.
I've been an intern at the Festival du Voyageur with their marketing department. So I have made some videos with past volunteers. You've probably seen some posted on their Instagrams and Facebooks. Those were
I have.
me. Yeah, and right now I am working on a drawing contest that's going to go into La Liberté.
Are you kidding? I did the drawing contest way back in the 70s. I finished second in the drawing contest way back in the Neolithic period.
Nice.
It was amazing. We did it on a chisel with a slab. That's the way we did it back then. Anyway, that's amazing. So has the experience been good? What have you learned from that experience?
Yeah, I learned a lot more about like Adobe, like some of the Adobe softwares, because I had to learn how to do like new things with it, I guess. And
yeah, but once they gave you the full foundation here, was it hard to pick it up?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah, and that's part of the coolness of this program. One of 13 programs in the Louis Riel Arts and Tech Center is the broadcast media program. And one of the big foundation pieces is they train you and teach you and ask you to apply the Adobe series of software. Really good stuff. Really useful in any line of work. So you've been enjoying it, and it's coming to an end?
Yeah, last day is on Friday.
Oh, are you sad about that too?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're just a sad person right now. Our podcast is ending, your internship's ending, and now
Gotta
you're
go
going
back
back
to
to Pointe de Chêne.
Yeah.
Wow, going back there to finish high school because you're still a high school student. I always forget that. You seem so mature. On the other hand, the maturity level, we have Akira Sakaki, who's been with us for these 2 semesters as well. And he's been a stalwart here, and he's really grown and learned. And he has been interning. Tell us about your internship, where you're at, and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I've been with Tripwire Media, and it's a production company. They also work in film and commercials, as well as advertising, and all that kind of fun stuff. So quite recently we had, I would actually say it was last week, we had a 5-day shoot. It was a commercial shoot for Payworks, so I got to be on set and just help out for 5 days straight, like 11 hours a day. So that was crazy, but it was super fun.
What was cool about that is you do a lot of video editing in this program, correct? Both of you? A lot of it.
Yeah.
So you were making videos. You were on a set. So
Yeah.
is it really important for you to see the fruit of your learning right in front of you and to apply your learning?
Oh,
Akira.
definitely, yeah. So the cameras we used with Tripwire, they're not the same as the ones we use for streaming per se, but the settings are exactly the same, and it's the same principles, even down to like setting up the tripod for it. So everything that I've learned during this program, the last 2 semesters, I had to use like during that 5-day shoot. And it was, it really opened my eyes to like how much I've actually learned the last 2 semesters.
That's amazing. So if you didn't have this program, there's no way you could be...
I'd be super lost, yeah.
You'd be lost, and
Yeah,
they won't even
definitely
be
lost.
looking at you.
No.
Because I remember when we were looking at the internship position for you, we had to talk about what are you good at.
Yeah, definitely,
And
sure.
And you gave a great list of what you're good at. So I'll come back to you, Zoe. What do you think now in this course of this? You've done an internship, you've played around with a lot of the software, you've done some projects, done the podcast, lots of learning on there, lots of streaming. You've been on the field holding the camera during the dead of winter, running alongside quarterbacks and things like that as you broadcast games from all over. What have you learned in this program about yourself?
Well, I learned that I can do a lot more than I thought I ever would. Like, if you had asked me, like, 4 years ago where I thought I'd be, I never think I'd be here learning all this, like, cool things and being able to do, like, all these amazing things, I guess.
Yes.
I have definitely discovered myself more. Like, you've said a few times that I'm a lot more open and I talk a lot more now. Like, it's really, I don't know, I don't want to say it's changed me, but, like...
I think it's changed you. You don't want to say that. I'll say it. Oh, boy, I will say it. You've been changed. You become a Jedi warrior. That's what you become. And I think that's really neat about you. But I don't mean changed who you are. It's always been in you. Like, the beauty of these programs is it brings stuff out of you. It doesn't change you as a person because you're a kind, warm, considerate, generous person. But now you have this extra little sense of assertiveness, skill development, and you know where you can add value to places very quickly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Akira, what do you think about that?
In terms of what I feel like I've left, like, are you asking me more like what I'm leaving with from this program or what I've learned about myself?
What have you learned about yourself? That's the topic we're on, and thanks for waking up and listening to us. That's good.
No, for sure. No, it's a hard question because I've always kind of been a very like open, talkative kind of person, and I feel like I haven't really changed so much in that way, but I've definitely changed in the sense that like I've learned a lot, and I've learned the importance of just like time management. There's so much stuff that goes on in this industry, and you have to really be on it. You have to be on top of it. You can't let stuff get past you time-wise, and yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. So I've learned that I'm pretty disorganized, to be honest with you.
No, I don't.
I've learned I'm pretty disorganized.
Yes.
I've learned that my strong suit is more of like the creative type stuff behind the scenes, not so much being in front of it. So like I really enjoy even coming down to like setting up like equipment or doing graphics that get used for streaming events. That's like my strong suit. So that's what I've learned. It's more inclined to like behind the scenes kind of creativity stuff, not so much in front. But yeah.
That's a lot. You leave these programs. What I love about these applied learning programs, such as a broadcast media program and the internship, the corresponding internship, is that you come out with experiences. You come out with something. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but you come out with these dots. Have you ever heard of that? You start collecting these dots.
No, we've only mentioned it like 100 times.
100 times.
Yeah.
That's it in this podcast. Remember, this podcast is about the adventure. I feel like you two are on an adventure, and I feel like you started this adventure, and I think something's really neat's going to happen to you down the road about where you see yourself offering great value, where you see yourself in a great fit, where you see yourself thinking, I really want to work with this organization, and you pursuing them.
Yeah.
Instead of them putting an ad out and you running, I can see you two down the road saying, you know what, I'm going after this company. I'm going to go present myself to the company. That's another piece. I push hard career development in schools and in places. How important do you think these kinds of programs, how important do you think internships and career development is for high school students? Who wants to take it?
How important do I think it is?
Yeah.
I think it's super important. Career development isn't something that's like taught really in school. It's more like in school they teach you the things you need to know, so like your math, your sciences, and just mandatory stuff like that they think everyone should know. But I feel like career development is super important because it's a skill you need to be able to be successful later on in life.
What do you think, Zoe?
I think the same thing. Like, career development is very important. Like, we don't learn much about that in normal high school, and like I feel like those who don't like are missing out. Like, you need it in order to help you figure out where you want to go later on, like with your career, with your life, and just everything, what you want to do.
Well, that's a powerful affirmation for the importance of doing career development in high school. But would you agree that it's quite variable for every person? Like, I'm talking to a grade 10, for example. This kid's all over it. He wants to be into the My Blueprint program. He wants to have consultations. He wants to talk to what kind of programs are out there. A grade 10 student. Sometimes a grade 12 student isn't into it. You know what I mean? And you must know a few of them who are just kind of meandering along, waiting for high school to end, and then suddenly they're going to go, oh, something better start happening. And the light will go on. And the interesting part about life is we all know we're going to leave school. We all know we're going to have to talk about ourselves somewhere, which is cool for you guys. Like, I love, Zoe, that you're so talkative. And Akira, you've always been talkative, but you've come to a different level, Akira. You become a little more concise about what you're saying on these podcasts now. which is really cool. So talking about yourself, the practice of talking about yourself. And the third thing is you're probably going to have to find a job somewhere. You're probably going to have to work. Those things are indisputable. Those are all going to happen. The interesting part is they seem to happen at different times for everyone. The fact that you guys chose this program in high school, you chose it a year later, is a testimony to that. You were a year difference in each of you choosing this program. The fact that career development and searching and getting to know who you are, and career development can be defined as kind of to get to know who you are. What are your skills? What's important to you? What do you value? What skills do you want to acquire? Who values your skills outside school walls with labor? And you can do a lot of labor market information research on a lot of these pieces. How do you organize a program in high school if everyone approaches it and kind of is ready to get at it at a different time? You see how hard this question is?
Yeah.
So how do you create that in school?
To be honest with you, like you said, it's not something for everyone. I feel like there are people who they immediately want to get into career development because they want to know, like, they want to learn about themselves and understand what they're good at and what they're interested in doing, and it kind of helps pave the way in a certain direction. It doesn't have to be like you know exactly what you're going to do, but now you have kind of a direction you're going, and that way you'll learn about what you were interested in doing. But there's other people who just really, they rather I would say take like kind of the hard way. So they'll do a bunch of other stuff and then they'll figure it out along the way, but they won't ever I guess try to do career development to get there first, right?
But it still has to be there in high school for when they're ready.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the tough thing. A grade 9 may be more ready than a grade 11.
See, that's like it's a class that it shouldn't be like a grade class. I think it should be
Right on.
almost like
Yeah, when
like
you
JA, like junior achievement.
Right on.
There you go.
Right on.
Junior achievement is like for any grade, right?
And it takes place over 6 months.
Correct,
So
yeah.
you're developing this sense. Sometimes when you take, like everybody's got to take history, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So when you finish history, you all feel like, oh yeah, that was engaging. I was ready to go. How'd you feel about your mandatory history class?
I hated history.
I did too.
So if we suddenly go, you all got to take a mandatory career development class, what do you think will happen to that class?
People won't like it. That's the thing. People don't take, like, I noticed that the people who are forced into taking classes, they don't like that class. The classes that people are interested in doing is really like the electives because they pick those classes and it's because they're interested in doing them. So if you made like career development an elective, then that way the students who are actually interested in doing it would pick it, and that's how you kind of
But still, you're
weed
only
them out, right?
You're only hitting a certain population if a few take the elective. How do you get everyone career development systemically through a system? Tough question, eh? Those are the questions I'm.
Well, it would
wrestling
be
with.
like if you're talking like grade wise, like if we're narrowing it down grades, I would say like an elective, but with the same fundamental structure as junior achievement, where it can be any grade, but it's an elective that takes place at the same time. So there could be a grade 12 and a grade 9 in the same class, and they're learning the same stuff, right?
Do you have to be in a class to take career development?
No, you don't.
I run a program. Remember that skills credential
Yeah.
program where kids take it from grade 9, from September till June,
'Kay.
and they don't sit in a class. They design their own course about the things they want to do. What do you think of that? So they choose activities. So this stuff you're choosing is part of it.
Yeah.
But if you chose to volunteer at Festival, that's part of your course. If you choose to do some work at the Manitoba Children's Museum,
So it's basically whatever we want then.
you choose because career development is so intimate and so personal, right?
Yeah.
That no matter what you do, I always say you're going to get 100% in this course. Why? Because you're the content. There's no way I can grade you on whether or not you're acquiring the content.
It's definitely, yeah, it's important, but I can see it not being for everyone just because like SIP, like we've talked so many times about SIP now.
That's the career internship program
Yep,
at Windsor Park Collegiate.
And I regret not taking it just because of how many times we've mentioned it. And I feel like it would have been really interesting. It would have been pretty good for me to do that. But I mean, it also comes down to what kind of person you are, like learning wise. There's people who prefer to have structure, so they like that the teacher will put down like a rubric and they'll give them all the work and they don't have to think about it, they just got to do it. And then I could see those people who like structure would struggle in SIP because they don't know what to do now because no one's giving them anything. They have to do it themselves.
Well, SIP is an option for a lot of Windsor Park Collegiate students.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of students who take it. But you guys choosing this is like your SIP,
Yeah.
your career
Yeah.
internship program. So I just think there ought to be more programs like this.
Sure.
I love the 13 programs in the Arts and Tech Center. I love the career internship program. Nelson Mack has the Imagine program. When J.H. Bruns has a variation of a hybrid of the SIP program. Those programs allow kids who want a little more to go after it. My question all the time, though, is we have My Blueprint. How do you make it larger for everybody so that everyone has the opportunity to participate in some serious self-thinking about who am I, what do I want to do, and where do I want to go?
Well,
That's the big question. I don't know if we'll have the answer on this podcast, but it's interesting to get your views about the importance of it. I always talk about the variability of it because career development becomes, it's a nice to do thing instead of a need to do thing because everyone accesses it differently.
Well, I know that
And at different
Nelson, for
times.
example, they had a class called LifeWorks, and that class is dedicated to My Blueprint. So
Yes.
during that class, you would do the My Blueprint surveys, and that way you could kind of figure out what you're interested in doing. But that was a mandatory class. Now that comes down
Forced
to the
class, right?
the issue where people who feel forced to do something, they're not
Yeah.
really interested in doing it, right? They don't want to do it.
Well, Zoe, when you're forced to do something in school, do you go, oh, yes, at last?
No, not at all.
With the exception of gym. I like gym. Even though I was forced to do gym, I enjoyed
Some
doing
kids
that.
hate gym.
I used to
enjoyed-
like
I
it.
enjoyed doing
Oh,
that.
well, why did you begin to hate gym?
It's just when I got to high school, it all became about like you have to test like all your physical abilities, and it's not something I
I don't know what you're
care
talking about. We
too
play
much
dodgeball.
about.
We play dodgeball. I don't know what you're talking about.
We never played dodgeball. We have
Really?
never played dodgeball in high
That's
school.
so sad.
You know what we loved? I remember back in the 40s, we used to love, you guys are looking at me seriously. Yes, I think 40. I'd be 100 years old, okay? Or 80. But we used to, when they put the floor hockey sticks out, we loved that. And we would fight for those floor hockey sticks, and we'd play when we had Mr. Klatt back at Nordale School. Well done, Mr. Klatt. Let us play floor hockey.
Yeah, everyone in my class is also like that. But then there's just there's just a small couple of us that are always like, I don't want to touch that. Like we don't want
I
to
know.
grab a stick. We don't want to do that.
And some guys don't want to do it, right?
Yeah.
And I have to say, phys ed teachers are getting much more eclectic in their
They're open.
in their presentation
Yeah.
about the things they do, so that something can connect with somebody.
They give you options too. Like when we got to do hockey and stuff like that, there was always an option for other people who didn't want to do it. Because I know that there was like students that took this stuff way too seriously. Like they were
yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
whacking
They're
their
athletes.
shins and they're like trying to kill you.
They're athletes.
But, like it's kind of intimidating. So it's nice that there's like options.
And
But
they
yeah.
probably play double-A hockey. And,
Yeah, for
you know.
sure. They play like
Yeah.
yeah.
And so you leave with welts on your shins.
Yeah,
and
no,
you're wondering,
no,
why
it's
did
like,
I
that
even
was just
come?
aggressive.
I like it. Hey, let me ask you something else. We talk about collecting those dots. If I ask you guys, what were the most important dots you collected this year? And remember, a dot means an activity, an experience that helped you grow and helped you come to an interesting realization about what your potential was. What would you say would be a cool dot or two that you collected this year?
For sure, going to this program is a massive dot.
Yes.
Because none of this would have literally none of this would have happened if I hadn't taken this program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quite simply.
Yes.
And then everything that coming out of this program. So like being on this podcast, that's another dot because I got to learn about all these people who've been here, who've like done this kind of stuff, and then see how they have developed and what their journeys took them to. And they're still on them. Like that's the nice thing about this podcast. It's not so much about finding those Bill Gates that are already there, but like finding those people who are getting there. So you can still see like how they're reaching their goals.
Oh, I love what you said. It's about, we're exploring not that they've come to this great moment. We had a couple, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But they're on the process. They're on the journey. That's what I
Yeah.
like about this. And that's why we call it adventure, right? It's
Yeah.
an adventure in Careerland. What do you think, Zoe? Any cool dots?
Oh, everything. Like probably everything we have done could probably work as a dot. Like our connections we've made like through the program, everything we've learned, all of our experiences, like
So what are you figuring out then? Like, remember, you collect the dots so you can connect them. So if I were to ask you to say, what are you connecting about yourself now, about where you think the path may lead?
So like if I were to give an example of like a dot that led to another dot and then kind of made me realize that I'm interested in something like that, is like when we started to do the just the live streaming of football games and all that kind of stuff that required heavy graphics. Like that's like when I did those, I was like, I realized like that's what I'm kind of interested in. And then I went into my internship and then I met like one of the supervisors there, and he had previously worked for True North, and his job was making the graphics for like the Jets, and they're the ones that they still use when the Jets score
Very
a goal
cool.
and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, that's what I'm interested in doing.
So you were connecting some dots in terms of looking at the stuff you were learning
And
seeing
realizing-
where it applies
Yeah.
and who does it and what kind of life or career they have.
Then I've gotten really lucky to meet those people too, because
Yeah.
sometimes you'll realize you're interested in something, but you won't have the opportunity to meet someone who's been there and done it already.
Yes.
So like one of the coolest things I got to do was literally on the first day of my internship, was when I was talking about what I'm interested in doing to my supervisor. He was like, I've done it before because I worked for the Jets and I did their graphics and all that. And then he was able to open the project files and break them down for me right in front of me on his computer, so I could see how it all came together. So that was
How
a
cool
really,
is that?
really
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
So
that
he
was really-
literally connected some dots for you.
Yeah.
And did you, like when you personally connect the dots, then were you thinking of, I think this is the kind of environment I want to be in?
Yeah, exactly. That's what, like, at that moment I was like, I've always kind of been like graphic inclined, so stuff like that. Like, I like making like nice visual,
And I love
creative
that.
stuff.
Yes.
So then when I think it's a great combination of like broadcasting, because I'm still doing stuff that's like production video type stuff.
Yes.
But it's also creating the graphics for it. So it's a good mix of it. And then when I got to see his files and see like the projects that he got to work on and that are still being used with the Jets, all that, like I was like, this is what I want to do.
This is very cool.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is you have to step outside your safety zones
For
to
sure.
go do that, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? You have to step
Yeah.
outside there. Otherwise, you're not going to see some of those dots in action being connected for you.
Yeah.
And then when you see them, internally you begin to connect some of your sense of here's where I want to be, here's where a fit seems to happen, or here's at least a partial fit. And you continue to build this sense, this jigsaw of you, of all these pieces that are coming together to make the big picture. How about you, Zoe? Like, do you feel the same? Do you feel the same way about that? Like, in terms of, I've seen some things now that I see dots connected out there, and it's helping me connect my own. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I'd say so.
How so?
Oh, jeez.
I know once you start with Akira, it goes off on this crazy tangent. That's
It's
probably
like-
probably the most brilliant thing he ever said. Then I go to Zoe. So Zoe, what do you think?
Oh,
Can you connect some of your own dots? What have you connected about yourself so far?
I could do I can basically do whatever I want to do as long as I'm willing to, connect more dots in order to collect more dots in order to connect more dots to be able to get to where I want to go.
Where do you want to go?
That is still something I'm trying to figure out. I'm still working on that.
But that's okay. But is it going to have to do with video? Is it going to have to do with media? Is it going to have to do with those kind of communications? Is that what you think down the road?
I'm not really sure, honestly. I always thought I wanted to go into film,
Yes.
but we didn't get to do much here. But I was looking into like some more film schools and like what like they do
Yes.
in there, and
Yes.
it's more doesn't sound like something that would really interest me anymore. But I've
Oh.
noticed,
that
like
is-
when we were doing football, like I loved doing that because it's always different and
Mm-hmm.
it's like this constant movement and you're always doing something.
That's true.
Yes.
The
Yes.
nice thing about this industry is that no day is ever the same. Like
Yeah.
you'll wake
Yes.
up one day and you'll do something completely different. You'll be in a different location, and it's like there's never a boring day.
But Zoe, that's totally connecting your dots. That you said, I want to do this. Now I don't think I'm there. That is a connecting dots moment because
Yeah.
what you thought was the path has turned into something slightly different. And you're meandering in places. And as you collect those jigsaws, what were the best parts of interning with Festival? Like the parts that stick to you and say, I really like this part.
I've noticed I am a lot more artistic than I thought I was.
Oh, excellent.
Like, you saw like the beginning animation with the hat. I did
Yes.
that, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And right now I'm like creating a drawing and using like all of our editing techniques and stuff. And that's also something I've noticed. Like I really like doing that.
So you are. You're
Yeah.
beginning. You're collecting them, and everything you do. You were even broader, but everything you do, like doing that drawing, is another dot.
Yeah.
Being at Festival is another dot. Doing some video editing is another dot. Him opening up those spaces for you is another dot. So those things are when you see them, and you gravitate to certain ones. Certain pieces stick to you in every experience, like Spidey. You're becoming part of the Marvel Spideyverse. Okay, maybe not.
sweet.
Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, that's awesome. Like I love because we always talked about this. I thought I'm going to end or make sure we end our final podcast on collecting those dots at some point.
Yeah.
So, any memorable people you remember where you go, oh, that was amazing. That person we talked to, I had no idea. That was cool.
There are so many.
Which one connects to you really quickly?
The
Off top of
first
your
one
head.
that comes to my head is the lady that was like, what was she doing? She was on like a news station when 9/11 was happening, and then she ended up being a pastor afterwards. Yeah,
Tannis.
hers is nuts.
Yeah, because she had such a diverse collection.
No,
right?
it's because it was like most of these people, I was able to kind of paint the road, like paint the picture of like how they each progressed to different things and how they were all somewhat connected. But hers was everywhere. Like hers was jumping everywhere, and it was great because it was like she was trying all these crazy things that had nothing to do with each other, but like that was awesome.
But in the end, they did, right?
Yeah.
Because they move her in a direction. And when you try and you step outside your comfort zone, like Tana steps outside her
For sure.
comfort
You
zone
have to be
all
able
the time.
Yeah, to do that kind of stuff, you have to be able to step out.
And she takes risks, but she believes in herself and really moves forward.
Sure.
She's a former student. I've always admired her from afar. She's an awesome person about just about make sure life is an adventure. Make sure you're doing a lot where you're connecting with those experiences and just seeing what sticks. She's been like incredible as a person who likes to do that. Zoe, anybody you think about?
I'd say Leslie. We had Leslie on here. Because she started off, like, she was really into, like, the science, like, the ocean.
Oh, the oceanographer.
Yeah,
Leslie, the oceanographer.
Yeah. And then now she's more into, like, the business side of things, I believe.
Yes.
So, like, it shows, like, you can be you can be interested in a lot of different things in your life. You can experience all of them, work for everything.
Yeah, and she was a scientist, right? She was a scientist, a researcher. Do you remember her story about rescuing
Is that the one about the
guys?
boat? I was about to say, that was the one in my head. I was like, if this is the boat one, that was a weird one too.
But it's crazy how they rescued these people who
had like reproduced on the boat.
Adrift for months. That was an amazing podcast too.
Oh, that was just weird.
Certain stories will stick with you. And the beauty of the podcast is you'll have them forever because they are up in the digital cloud there somewhere, which is amazing.
For sure.
So what's your plan now moving forward, you two?
Okay, well, quite honestly, my plans always changed. I was always open to different circumstances. Originally, my plan coming into this program was to do this program and then go to CDI College for graphic design. But I'm rethinking it just because I'd like to kind of experience like different things. Like I want to be able to like Zoe's lucky that she's been able to work with like the Jets and do kind of some of that stuff.
Yes.
And I want to try doing a little bit of that as well as continuing like doing commercials and stuff. I really want to narrow down on what exactly I'm interested in doing. And then based on that, make like a formal decision on if right now would be the time to continue my education or if I should start doing something and then later on.
Well, you're in a great
back.
space. Yeah, you're in a great space.
It's never too late to try something else.
For sure, yeah.
Yes. And especially you're in high school. Oh my gosh. Like you're both so young. My advice is always take your time, enjoy, step outside your boundary a little more, meet as many people as you can, and just build this sense of this is the environment I want to be in.
Yeah.
These are the type of people I want to work with. These are the kinds of works I'd like to do. And you only do that through experience by having a lot. Like, I mean, there is a lot of disengagement in workplaces. You'll get numbers, some giant Gallup polls. You'll see numbers where 80% of workers around the world, that's one I saw last year, 2020 or so, might be 2021, were disengaged with their work. In fact, they were doing their work but didn't feel any special pride or didn't feel any special energy doing it.
See, that's like the problem. Like I always look, I guess this is a great lesson my mom gave me. She like from little, like ever since I was little, she told me like you should never pick something you want to do based on like the monetary gain from it, like how much money you're gonna make from it.
Yes.
You should pick something that you love doing because at the end of the day, like you could be making millions of dollars, but if you hate doing it, that's time wasted that you'll never get back. Like money can't buy you time. So like I rather do something I love for the rest of my life than do something that is going to make me a lot of money, but I'm going to be super miserable doing it, right?
Yes. And
That's
you know
how
what?
I
You
think
talk about
of
time.
stuff.
Your mother's quite wise. My mother had a lot of cool lines for me too that are still in my heart. That's a cool line about time because time is interesting. It never stops, but it never parts easily with the truth it reveals. It goes slow, but it's relentless, right? So you really have to make the most of your time. What do you think, Zoe?
Oh, I'm not really sure.
No, that's okay. That's okay. What the path may look like, but you're going to continue.
Yeah.
You're still in high school, so
I got to finish that.
You're going to finish that for sure. And then are you going to work? Are you going to school? What do you think? What's your path then looking like?
I was looking, like I said, I was looking at schools, but I don't think that's what I want to do, at least not right away. Like I learned so much here that I feel like I could already build a career with what I already have.
Yes.
That's the beauty of this school, for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty. You have a lot of skill. But now this is what I suggest to you. Another cheap piece of advice from Magnifico. Be the pursuer, right? Go for things. If there's a company you think you want to work for, connect with them.
Yeah.
Can you volunteer with them? Can you work on a project with them? Can you even have a conversation with somebody in that company or industry? Have you, when you've talked to Tripwire, you've already talked to some people, right?
For sure.
Who have seen you in action. And if you can, connect, especially at your young age, connect to people and get experiences. Collect those dots. And you'll be in good shape to make the calls about the kind of education you truly want and the one that really fits you to move forward in places you want to be. It's fascinating stuff. You know what? And you two are responsible for the great and wondrous Whip It round.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any special thoughts on how we should do the Whip It round in the future, or just get rid of it?
Well, I don't think you should get rid of it. It's a fun thing.
I think it needs to go through some development.
I love it. No, I love it.
Don't get rid of it. It's fun.
And
It's lame, but it's
super
fun.
lame.
It's
but it's
lame.
funny,
It's,
yeah.
it's our lame Whip It round. So we'll do that down the road. I'm not going to whip you guys because you know all the questions and you probably practiced all the answers. But I do like to do this little strength bombardment. At the end, you worked with me for a full year. This is amazing. And I want to say to you, it's been my privilege to work with you guys and to watch you in action. And as many times as Zoe's been quiet or you've been disorganized,
Yeah.
you've grown as people into a bit of a team where, and that's the sad part, you guys are ready to leave now and embark on your own personal life journeys. And the podcast is running like a charm. And you guys know when to jump in. You see opportunities to talk. You've just grown as people here. I do these strength bombardments with you at the end. Zoe, I want to say to you, here's what I see with you as a strength. I just see you as a person who looks at a project and manages it very, very well. You look for things. It's rare that you didn't get something done. And because you're Pointe de Chêne, the only thing that kept you away from this place was the snow most of the time.
I still came during storms.
I know.
So.
And, well, that's what I'm saying. You're such a committed,
What a
dedicated
go-getter.
person. Whoever's going to work with you is going to see a very creative spirit, is going to be someone who's organized, someone who wants to turn a project into something special, not just status quo. What has anybody seen? What can I add to it? They're going to see that in you. I just think you've got some special qualities. And someone is going to say, we are so glad we hired her. And I see leadership down the road for you if you choose to step outside your boundary zone a little further, not farther, not significantly, because you're still young and you just move through it. I just see that for you. I'm just so proud of what you've done here. Akira, your strengths are you are a very creative person. You love to grab that digital stuff. You love to grab the mic and talk. And I've seen conciseness in you. I've seen you becoming more organized, especially in the last part when we had to launch all these podcasts, one after the other as they were done. And my gut feeling was, oh, this isn't going to work with Akira. It worked beautifully because you've grown as a person. So I really believe you can manage projects when you put your head to it. And you did. You totally put your head to it. I believe you're a great worker on site. Both of you are. You're great workers on sites. When you are with the team getting work done, you can be relied on. You can get your work done. And you do it. I suspect you guys like to clean up at the end too.
Oh, that's actually like my favorite part. Not even gonna lie. At the end of a shoot, I'll be there to like when we're done. Like I make sure everyone's done before I leave. I don't know why. I just like to
I do
clean
that
up stuff.
too.
Yeah.
Those are powerful. I'm telling you, you guys, you have some special qualities in you. This program, and Mr. P has done a great job working with you guys and giving you real assignments that matter to people.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I, again, cheap Magnifico advice, always treat your stuff like it matters to somebody else,
Yeah.
not just to you, right? And your work will always have this extra special look to it. And they'll say, I want Akira in my team. I want Zoe in my team. And I see it in both of you. So congratulations. It's been my privilege to work with you two. I'm very sad. We have to bring 2 new people on. And that will be season 4 down the road.
Well,
But for now,
like
any
next week.
any parting shots? You can give Magnifico a parting shot here. What is it?
To be honest with you, I actually normally have a lot to say, but like I don't. I mean, I really appreciated this opportunity to get to, I guess, like go on this adventure.
Well played. Well played.
Go on this adventure with you and Zoe, just because I love learning about everyone's journeys and how they're getting to where they want to go and all that kind of stuff. And it also helped me just figure out what I'm interested in as well. So I really appreciated that opportunity.
Oh, that's good. It's funny you say that. So the stories actually were inspirational for you in your own journeys.
Yeah, it's because I could resonate with a lot of them. Like there was a couple that I felt like I felt that way. Like I've felt the same way as that person has.
Yes.
And to see how they were able to kind of take that feeling and then run with it and then do something with it.
Is that important to know that they felt the same way?
For sure, because there's a lot of people out there that they feel a certain way, but they don't know that other people feel that way. So then they kind of hide it, I guess, or they kind of just stick it down deep inside of them.
Yes.
And so when you learn that someone else feels the same way as you or has been there, it's like it's interesting to learn what they did and where they are now to see how you can deal with what you're going through or what you feel like as well.
On.
And like that just goes with like everything, like day-to-day stuff, but also even down to like how, like I mentioned, someone who's been in the industry already. So like if I'm interested in doing something, getting that opportunity to meet someone who's already been there, that's so important. Like that,
awesome.
That gives you a head. Good.
Zoe, what are your parting shots?
I want to thank you for the experience for doing this. I learned, like Akira said, I learned a lot going on this adventure, learning about everyone else's experience.
You guys are talking the diction. You're talking the lingo.
Yeah. Just hearing what they did to overcome certain obstacles, how they learned like what they really want. To be honest, when we first started, I hated podcasting.
Oh,
this
I
was
did
not
too.
something I wanted to do.
I hated it.
But now
not
it's
this,
like,
but I hated podcasting.
Yeah.
So when you came if you guys both had this sense of, oh, do I have to do this? When you were assigned this, when you were going, and I came in and said, here's what I want, and you guys came into this, what was your original feeling then?
Well, no, it's because all the, I mean, we had done like 5 podcasts prior to this.
Yeah.
And they just felt like such a hassle. But it was because
did.
we had to find the guests as well. So it was a little bit more complicated because you have to, for every 20 emails you send out, maybe 1-2 people will answer it back. So it was a big hassle, and that kind of just turned me away to like podcasting. But having like the guests that we had and like the lineup and all that kind of stuff, that was the best.
So these are it's funny, the guest does take time.
Oh yeah.
That's the work, right? And they're people, directors and producers who work on guests. And I'm showing them a sheet right now that says, here's the next group's guests that we're looking at.
You already have them lined up. That's like the best part because these students, like me and Zoe, we all had to come in.
Well, and you don't have the network yet.
Yeah.
You don't have the network yet. And I wanted you to build skills around the podcast table. Because as you get to meet more people, now you could invite someone to a podcast from your Tripwire space, right?
Sure.
Or Zoe, you could invite someone to a podcast from your Festival space.
Yeah.
Because you built a bit of a network. You didn't have that. So I was happy to take that piece on. I've set up over 2,000 internships and met lots of people, in my long entire journey. And you know what? Here's a sad, funny thing. I'm outside. There's a lot of snow out there, you figure?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Lots of snow.
Definitely.
So I go out to shovel the snow one night. And I'm just going to bring this last story and we'll end it here. I go out to shovel the snow and I go inside, get a little cup of tea. I'm an old guy now. I want to have a cup of tea. I come out and I'm going to put my toque-on hat. I'm going to shovel the snow. I come outside. The driveway is shoveled.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. I'm thinking, what happened here? Have I hallucinated? Am I just losing my mind? And there's a little kid on the side playing on a hill, on one of those giant hills. This grade 6 kid, my neighbor, whom I don't know, they've just moved in, has shoveled my walk or my driveway. This is a driveway.
Yeah.
And I said, did you do this? And he went, yeah. And I said, why did you do that? Well, I thought it would help.
That's
I went,
so
well, that was a beautiful moment, right? Except I began to realize in my pathetic mind, oh my gosh, I'm one of those old guys now.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. I won't lie.
Where the kids are going, I better do this guy's walk or he's going to have a heart attack.
Help you with your groceries.
He's going to have a heart attack. So I better do this guy's walk or they're going to find him in the spring somewhere in the snow thaw.
Way to mangle a cute sentiment.
So I end on that. I end our 3rd season on this note. This old guy is very grateful for your youth and your energy and your enthusiasm. And for, honestly, metaphorically, always shoveling my walk. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. It is the end of Season 3 in Adventures in Careerland. We'll see you down the road. We'll take a little time. We have to find 2 new student producers. And when we do that, we will resume Season 4. So everybody, thanks for listening. And it's time to end Season 4 of Adventures in Careerland. Stay safe. Go shovel that snow or let some kid on your neighbor shovel the snow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.